Hey there, what do you say there, world? Or I should say, hey there, what do you say there, eh? It's the Racist Recap Canadian edition. I am Justin.
And I'm James Earl.
And today it's just the two of us breaking it down. Amazing Race Canada, episode 1. And we just started talking a little bit right before we went live, and it was already getting heated. So this is going to be a good episode. So before we get started, everybody that's in the chat room right now, go and get yourself a little thumbs up and then hit the little share button and share it on your social media. Because if anybody has any interest in Amazing Race Canada, I think they're going to want to hear what's about to go down between me and James Earl.
I mean, I can already tell you, we disagree on a lot of things. We agree on some stuff, but we disagree on a lot.
I know. And we didn't even hit on half of the stuff. So this is going to be an interesting episode of the Racers Recap. So overall, did you like the episode?
I liked the episode. There were some flaws. That's not any fault of the racers. I think it's flawed design.
Oh, yeah.
That caused the episode not to be just an amazing episode. But I will say some racers' decisions made for some great drama on TV.
Yeah, I was terrible decisions made for great drama.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I mean, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there, I'm sure. All right, let me bring up the chat room here. So we'll be working double duty. If you got the chat
everyone's
room.
just saying hi to me. They love me, and they're just ignoring you.
Pretty much. Makes sense. Yeah, hey, James Earl. All right.
Hey, all you people. Hey, Alita. Hey, Swarthy Ben. Hey, Angelica. Hey,
Hey, I went to lunch with Tim today. We went and hung out. All right. Amazing Race Canada, Season 4, Episode 1, kicks off on ATVs riding across like a frozen lake. It was really cool. Loved the backdrop. Kicked into some full intros. And I like the way they do their intros with a lot of personality clips and some scenes from home, something that I wish they did from our season.
Well, they used to do that for us, but they stopped recently. I think it was season 26 is when they stopped. But what I liked about that is you get to really know who these people are outside of the race. I feel like that's important to remember that these people have jobs, they have lives, they have families, and they're not just these like TV entities.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I like the way it was set up. It's one of a beautiful city of Yellowknife, which is one of the cities that I actually looked into proposing to Diana in because you could see the Aurora Borealis there. So I thought that was pretty interesting that's exactly where they're starting. It's 250 miles south of the Arctic Circle. So they were close to some frozen entities. That's a real word. Look it up.
I will say that was a major trust on the ATVs because I don't know about you. I don't trust frozen things. Like if I'd be on that ATV, I'd just be waiting for like someone to fall through. That's like the first challenge. Whoever doesn't fall through the ice keeps racing.
Well, I'm sure the Canadians are pretty good at figuring out if the ice is deep enough. A lot of them are probably hockey players or have skated at some point. Yeah, I'm judging. I'm stereotyping. There's a Canadian out there that's going to let me know. I don't know. No, so I like that they start off and they talk. See, I didn't know, and I don't know if this is how it's always been, but they get a trip around the world, like the winners, get a full trip around the world for 2.
It's changed this season.
They get 2 cars. Any cars that they drive this season, any Chevy cars that they drive, the winners get to pick whichever ones they want. And they get $250,000.
Yeah, in the past, I believe it was $250,000 free airfare by Air Canada for a year, and then gas at some petro place. I don't remember the exact name. I'm pretty sure that used to be it. But I think the sponsors changed, and they get this prize now, which is kind of an awesome prize. Also, because Canadians don't pay tax on their money, so they actually get the $250,000. So whoever wins, they're gonna be rolling, making it rain, driving everywhere.
Yes, that makes a big difference. Trust me, because as soon as me and Diana have our wedding, we're back to broke again. Those taxes are no joke when it comes to those. They say, "Oh, you won this $15,000 trip." What they should say is, "You won this trip that you could pay $3,000 to go on if you'd like to go on this trip."
Right. I am curious to know where this trip around the world is. I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, it says a trip around the world for 2 people.
But like, what does that mean? Like,
I don't know how many times can they stop, but it says around the world, so that's got to kind of navigate the globe, right?
You would hope so.
I mean, around the world. You would think it'd go around the world. They could just word it any way they want. But and either way, I like the intro. It's a cool prize. What do you think about Montgomery versus Kogan? Putting you on the spot, yes.
You are putting me on the spot. I think they're two different styles.
Definitely.
I don't know if I have one that I prefer over the other. I think.
Oh, look at Sweden over here.
I'm Sweden. Okay, here's the thing. If I'm going to be real, if you're really going to push me into a corner, and Phil pushed me into a corner during our season, I don't know if you remember that at the finish line. If I'm going to be pushed into the corner, I feel like Phil has a better presentation for like the detours, the roadblocks, the challenges. He has a little bit more. But John has a little bit more interaction with the contestants. I feel like John is a little more playful, a little more like banters back and forth. So I think there's two different things. I don't think John is good when he is doing the like presentation to the audience.
Right. Yeah, I think Phil is much better, hands down. I think John's good, but I just think Phil. When you see Phil, you think Amazing Race. Like when you
Doug has been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah, but when you see John, you're gonna always think. To me, I think more Olympics than I'm ever gonna think Amazing Race. So it's kind of like Jeff Probst. It doesn't matter what he does, you're always gonna think Survivor. Like he could have 12 million shows after. He's gonna be Survivor, and I like that about Phil because I wish he would have more interactions with the contestants, or they would show more of the interactions because we have a lot more interactions than they show.
There's a lot of things you can't show.
Yeah. All right. So they start off with a route info, which is pretty good. They head to the Legislative Assembly. They have to translate a 3-word phrase, which this first route info task was weak.
I mean, did you really want to throw them into the grinder at first? I'm just happy that they had a task at the beginning.
I do like that.
And it took a little bit of thinking. And here's the thing, Jillian and Emmett kind of thought their way through it.
They guessed.
They guessed, but I mean, it worked. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, okay. Here's my thing. This would never have worked in the Amazing Race American edition. So this is when people keep saying, like, international teams, if they ever try to compare them to American teams, here's why you can't. Okay, it said the answer to this was to travel safely across the land. Mm-hmm. They guessed safely across the land we travel. They put it in the wrong order and added their own word that wasn't even in it, and they still got through. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm torn on that one. But you're right, and I noticed that too. I did notice that too, but I just don't know like what the rules were. And obviously,
I know, but that would never have passed in our season. That wouldn't have passed in our season anywhere.
That's a fair statement, but I'm not going to hate on Canada just as Canadian.
I'm not hating on them for being Canadian, but I'm just pointing out some things that people overlook. That's kind of what I think I like to do on this show. Point out the things that other people don't see. Yeah, and you're right. As Angelica said, I want them to suffer physically in the first leg. I want that first leg to be a physical, like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? Not like a simple mental task in the beginning.
I feel like are you talking about the very, very beginning?
Yeah,
because I feel like the leg itself was very physical.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not, but the leg itself was very physical.
Yeah, the leg itself was a beautiful leg. Like, the scenery was beautiful. And
here's the thing, too, that you're forgetting is, I remember from the ice to, like, running to the actual place, you saw them booking. Like, it wasn't just, like, a little, like, oh, we're here, let's look through the woods. And they were talking about how they were spaced everywhere. I'm giving them credit.
Really? Okay. Okay, so they can put the stuff in any order they want. That kind of irked me.
That one, it's within the rules. That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree that it was wrong. I think it was wrong, but obviously it wasn't because it got the pass.
Right. All right, so they have to travel safely across the land in any order they want. But Jillian and Emmett do really well. So the route info takes them to Jasper in Alberta, Canada. And this is where they do their first self-drive, which is one of the best parts of this leg is the self-driving because it caused a lot of controversy.
It was completely self-drive. You realize that, right? This leg was completely self-drive in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
No, don't say yeah. When were they taking taxis or being driven anywhere? The airplane. The only thing they didn't do is fly themselves.
Well, they had 2 airplanes, so they didn't really have any airport drama for this leg because they only had 4 teams were getting on the first plane. The airport drama was
right, but that wasn't my question.
What?
What was my question? Is I said it was a full, like they had to self-navigate the entire plane.
Yeah, sure. Yep. No, we'll get to it.
Okay. All right.
All right. So the route info says they have to self-drive to the airport, which is cool. First 4 teams are going to get on the flight. It caused a little shakeup, a little bit of a shakeup at the airport. Maybe 1 or 2 teams switched spots, but for the most part, didn't seem too hard for anybody to find. The big shakedown was for the fourth spot. Is when 2 teams were racing for that 4th spot. I don't know really how close they were.
You know, you can never fully tell, but the fact that at one point in time, I believe it was, I don't know, remember which one it was. It's either Jillian or it's Julie that was like, oh, there they are. I see them right there. So it makes me think they were close.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good. I liked as a viewer seeing the drama, but really, in the end, it didn't make any difference who was on the first flight. They didn't tell you how far apart those 2 flights were.
I thought they said they were 30 minutes. I thought John said that at the very beginning.
But they didn't say when they landed, like if they were, ours was supposed to be 30 minutes apart too, and they landed 5 minutes apart. But during the leg, I didn't really notice too much of a difference as we'll get closer.
No, because like everyone was at the first roadblock, I think, for the most part together.
Together, yeah. Like the first 3 got in to go up, but then by the time they came back, everybody was already there. All right, so Jasper, Alberta, which is another beautiful location, and it turns on the self-drive, which is great. Stephanie and they do the happy dance. Stefan and Antoine do the happy dance.
I loved it. Here's the thing, though. We gave them so much crap in the first cast assessment, and they actually turned it out this sled. You have to admit, we underestimated that team.
Yeah. All right. He has heart. I like Stefan. He has the heart for the older guy. He didn't give up on the task. He pushed his way through. He made
a lot farther on the monkey bars than everyone else did.
Yeah, besides the people that actually accomplished it, he made it the furthest. So I give him a lot of credit, especially when the 2 younger guys, made it 1 bar, and we'll get to that one. It irks the heck out of me.
I liked the happy dance. That was a cute little happy dance. It reminds me of a little silk clap. It does. I can relate to that. Just as when I did Excited, I looked a little goofy, and I did that. But I think it's adorable and endearing.
It is, and that's how people love the seal clap. It's endearing. So I get it. Jillian freaks out in the car. I mean, what was she thinking? She was so screaming at him, and almost went into tears in the car because he wouldn't listen to her. I don't know how much was left out, but here's my issue with the amount of frustration Jillian had. You're 30 minutes into the first leg. You have a long time left. I know. That's why I'm worried about them. I mean, they're a strong team, but geez. I mean, can they be like Chris and Logan and fight their way to the finals? I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't matter how much you fight as long as you can still race. You can be cursing each other out as long as you keep moving forward. Yeah. So, I mean, it works for them. And, I forget because it's been a year since I've lived in that moment. Yeah, it's easy to forget how emotional the race is. Yeah, and Angelica comparing them to Tim and Marie, that's a pretty good. That's a very good example, actually. At this point, yeah, it's very good. I like they take the bus. I like this part where they get off the plane, they get to a bus, and take the bus to a train station where they have to drive. So it's like airplane, bus, to a train station to self-drive. I like that. Then a raft later. They're doing everything. Yeah, so I like this. What's up, Jenks? I like the fact that they're using these different modes of transportation. They put some thought into that. But my biggest problem with this leg is it's so linear. There's only one task where people can actually pass each other. Yeah, no, that's what my issue is, the first roadblock. But we're about to get there, and we'll talk about that. I actually think this is the only part that people can pass? Yeah. Oh, see, I just I didn't like the first roadblock. Separation. All right, so let's get to the roadblock. It's who's ready to let it all hang out. And when me and Diana were watching it, she immediately said she wanted to do it, and I think she would have rocked it. I don't know why that task looked like it was a weak sauce, and I didn't seem hard at me at all. I think I know why it was hard. Okay, so explain it to me. So when you're looking at this, first off, when you're hanging there, you have to remember that you have this cord attached to you, you have all that safety harnesses. So I would imagine that all that stuff is another 15 pounds on top of you. You also have bulky gloves on. So I never got a good view of the gloves. I don't know if there's much traction on them. Okay.
So like if I'm thinking these are like, farmer's gloves that, have no way to grip. And if you looked at the bars, they weren't like bolted in to the card. They moved back and forth like this. All that plus the wind, I think there was enough to kind of set you off balance. And that's why I don't think it was a simple monkey bar task.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I think the majority of people who fell on the first, or not, he didn't even make a first attempt. Like, like they're not tired. They didn't slip. Like it's the first one. Hold on, grab it, and then let go when you're secure. Like I think fear got to people, or they saw on the task, which is great, that the second time you get to go through, you get assisted, held up by the pulley system, so it's a lot easier for you. So maybe
I'll give you that I think fear played a big component in as well. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I can't. The cool thing that I think caused separation is, one, this is a task that people were going to fail. Two, this is a task that only 3 teams can do at a time, and then they come down and they're off, and another 3 teams go up. So it's causing separation. It's causing at least 3 separate packs.
But it's also causing funneling, which I hate. Like when you get there, you're stuck. So you're that 4th place team. Here's the thing: whoever got there last from the first plane, you might as well have been on the second plane. It's because like by the time the 3 teams go up and come back down, you're stuck with the rest of the people. And I don't like tasks that funnel.
I see your point, but so this is a race. You got 4 teams, and now you don't want them to all have the same advantage over the rest of the teams. So this is a way to say, okay, now you 4 teams are going to race because only 3 of you are going to get this advantage, and then one's going to get left behind. And then after that, it kind of keeps doing that. But I see what you say about funneling, but this is also the only part of the race where anybody can pass anybody.
See, I think the self-navigating in this ledge made up for that, but I don't think you could really pass anybody, because here's the thing.
It's a place where people did. This is where the leg was won and lost right here.
But did they pass it because of the challenge, or did they pass it because, like, here's the thing. I think the teams got shifted around because 2 teams quit, and then you weren't able to complete the challenge. Because Here's what happened. I think Emmett and Steph, which, can we talk about Steph here in a second? Because I am living for that moment. I am living for it.
Absolutely.
Like, they just beasted through. Like those 2 are just beasts. But everyone else, from what you could see on TV, they did their first. They were going to go up, do their second, get through. Like that's because the second time had your weight harnessed. I don't think that means that you have a lot of I don't think that is equivalent to having to be able to pass people. I just don't.
Well, if you were able to do it on the first try, that's when you're able to pass people. If you suck like everybody else, if you suck like everybody else, then get to the back of the pack and get funneled. If you do the task right the first time, you deserve to get a reward. If not, you get funneled back to the back of the pack because you suck.
But I just don't like tasks that funnel. I like people to be able to compete on their own, and if you do it well, then you get to pass everybody else. Because here's the thing, Justin, take the same challenge, and let's say you can put every team up there at the same time, and whoever can get through it, your logic still applies. If you beast through it, get through it the first time, guess what? You're going to pass.
No, I agree. They should have had at least a second tram car, like side by side with it going up. That would have made a separation for 2 separate groups, because then you have 6 people going up once and then 5 people going up right after them. So that at least causes a little separation. But there could have been a little better. But I think this was the best task. It had beautiful scenery. We had 2 great moments. Emmett beasting through, making it look like it was easy. Stefan, he tried, fell, and then Ashley just crying like, we have a whiny little.
Stefan went first, right?
Yes, but I just had it jumbled around. But Stefan went. He went, got halfway, and fell, and then Emmett crushed it. Ashley cried. I couldn't stand it. I was just ready for her to go home.
Justin, you're being so mean.
She's crying on the first task, and it's not real.
Who else cried on the first leg?
But listen, it's not crying. It was like that whiny fake cry, like, Daddy, help me. I cried because I thought I lost my one opportunity to fulfill my dream. She cried because I got to climb a ladder that I'm harnessed. There's no way I can fall. What am I scared of? Get over it. You're on The Amazing Race. You're not going to do first heights challenge. You're going to cry? Get out of there.
I just don't agree. And I think of anybody that faults crying, I don't think you can.
All right. I'm not faulting crying. It's faulting the whining. This is how it goes. She whined, cried, fell, repeat. Whine, cry, fell, repeat. That's what she did. But I didn't see much out of Ashley that is going to propel her to outlive the stereotype of the beauty queen in the first episode.
I'll give you that much in the first episode.
Yeah,
I mean, I still feel like we're going to see a lot from her. I really do.
We might. It doesn't look like it from the first episode, but we'll see. All right, Kelly and Kate. This is the two fitness trainers who are so strong. They're these tiny little Asian girls with muscles, so they should be able to carry themselves across a little ladder.
You're still carrying all that weight, Justin. I think you're
15 pounds is nothing. 10 pounds, 20 pounds.
Is 15 pounds nothing when you weigh 90?
If you're a fitness trainer, you can't walk across monkey bars. Kids do that in the freaking 6th grade, and 4th grade, 3rd grade. They walk across the monkey bars with no problem. A fitness trainer can't do it. Don't call yourself a fitness trainer. Call yourself like a YouTube video maker.
Exercise is specific, Justin.
So she was popping the guns. She was like, oh, I got the guns. Went up there, didn't even make it one. They're not going to make it far either.
Well, no, I think they're not going to make it far because of different reasons, but not because of that.
All right. Now, Steph, listen, I was so impressed with Steph because, one, she started off crawling, not with just using her arms, but putting her legs up, which raises her heart, which causes less stress and blood to circulate and takes less weight off.
You're just saying words. You're doing word salad.
Word salad what? She used her legs to elevate her body, take the weight off her arms, and it's when you have your heart, you're a doctor. When your heart is below it, it works harder to pump blood, and you get the tingles and shakes. Come on, I don't know, whatever you call that, doctor.
But Steph was an absolute beast during this challenge.
Yes,
an absolute beast, and I lived for every moment of it.
She used her brain and she used her brawn because she's strong.
No, here's the thing. She was upside down, like tangled on the net, and she like beasted herself up. Do you know how hard that is to do what she did at the end?
At the end too, and that's why she used brain, she used brawn, and then that part was heart. She showed everything on that task, and they are the team to beat. I was
living for that moment.
I don't care if you were. You guys won the first leg, sure, but I think everybody should be scared of these two because they just showed a little bit of everything in the first leg. A lot of credit. So we're going to have to fight to see who's going to get them in the draft.
I really think it's whoever goes first. So
probably. All right. So I love that part where she's hanging upside down. And then, okay, so they take the penalty and they move on. And their logic was that it would probably take an hour per tram to go. So there's 2 trams ahead of them. So it was at least 2 hours. And I guess they didn't think they were going to be able to do the task. So they took the penalty. I don't agree with it.
I don't either. That's the one thing I think we're going to agree on this episode is I think taking penalties shouldn't be a thing. Like you should not in your mind think I should take a penalty to try to beat the system because you're not going to beat the system. It's going to catch up to you.
This is a bad habit from the Canadian edition. Taking penalties.
I'll agree with you on that because there's been a lot in the past. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot more in the first 4 seasons of the Canadian than the first 10 seasons of The Amazing Race. So I don't like the fact that they took these penalties, but you get what you deserve, and ultimately what happened at the end is what you should learn a lesson. Stop taking penalties and do the tasks. So I don't think it was as close as they said it was. So we'll see what happens when it gets there. All right, Yvette uses her feet as well, which I thought was a great task, a great smarts move on her part, but she didn't have the muscle or the endurance to outlast, and everybody else fell. So the only 2 that got it were the first 2 teams to finish, and it separated them from anybody else, even coming close to catching them. So
there was one team that didn't even get to do the challenge, I believe. I think it was the moms.
Yeah, because they were so late. They got to the end of the line. The challenge got canceled, which do you think helped them or hurt them?
Oh, that helped them. Are you kidding me?
Well, because it said they would determine how long it would take them to finish. So I didn't know if you had the inside information.
They weren't going to – but here's the thing. They were going to be like, oh, well, you wouldn't have got it the first time, so we're going to make you wait twice as long. So.
Right. So probably, yeah. I see that. So the tram got shut down due to weather. which kind of stinks. But after that, they got a route info, which takes them to the Alabathca River, where you have to paddle down the river and get your next clue. I like this. I like this route info. You have to do a little task, something that requires a little skill. And if you have a lot of muscle, you can push through. But if you have a little skill, you can still do good at it. What do you think about the boat task, paddle boats?
I mean, it was just another thing to tire the teams out, and I like it. I'm not going to say it was a very difficult challenge, but it's enough to tire you out.
It was difficult for one team who happened to lose their boat. Kelly and Kate showed again in the next task why that they're still not good at this game, and they lost their boat. So I think they're next out. But we'll get to that point. So that's a route info. I really like the route info. But at this route info, Jillian has another breakdown. So this is 2 in the first episode. And when she starts screaming, if you take us over there, you're going to make me cry. Like, why are you crying?
I think she just lives at a 10. I think her emotions are at a 10.
Is this going to be a paparazzi thing?
And it might be, but hey, if it works for them, if they got first, so it works for them.
They did. I just hope one of them is not going to be like, I just quit, like, and be the flow of Canada. Quit every season. I mean, every task.
I mean, did she never quit though? Did she? I never even think she threatened that. No,
Oh.
Jillian.
No, not yet.
Oh.
Come on. But she's already like crying twice in the first episode, or screaming twice in the first episode. If the stress gets really high and they're not in the lead. This is when they were in the lead, like in first place easily.
That is true.
Stressed out. Like they can't enjoy first place. What can you enjoy? Oh, here comes Diana. She might want to put somebody in check. Diana, you are live on the Racers Recap.
Well, I felt bad about missing it, but I didn't want people to be hanging about who I was putting in check.
Okay, hold on.
So I'm sure.
Go ahead, talk.
I said I'm sure people would agree with me about putting Jillian in check because of how she was talking to Emmett in the car.
Jillian is the person you're going to put in check?
I told you.
You're not going to put the two Ding and Dong who quit the challenge after they saw somebody else quit?
No, that's not what being put in check is. Being put in check is when you don't talk to your partner in a partner-like way, Justin. Come on.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You in check. Oh, yeah, you're right. You wouldn't know nothing about that, Justin. No.
Can you guys hear Diana?
I can, so I think they should be able to.
Okay, yeah, as long as you can. So Jillian is who you're going to be putting in check, Chris. The way that she talked to her partner, even though they finished in first place, they're still getting.
That doesn't matter. That does not matter. When you are put in check, you need like a reality check.
Okay, it's your thing. I'm just clarifying it.
Well, I'm clarifying what it means to be put in check, and it's when you don't talk to your partner in a very partner-like way.
Okay. Well, there you go, Jillian. You are put in check. First Canadian to be put in check.
What'd you say?
I'm out of here. I'm on my way home.
All right, she's on her way home. Probably not going to be here before we're done with this because we got to get ready for Big Brother so we can go see Josiah get evicted. All right, we love you, babe.
Love you too. See you soon.
Bye.
Hey, Justin, can we take one quick timeout? Because I want to address something I just saw in the chat.
Get it.
And I hate calling someone else.
Do
but
it.
Kathy wrote up here, task harder in Canadian version. And here's the thing. I don't think they're any easier. No, I'm not. Don't do that to me, Justin.
No,
Go
ahead.
I don't think they're harder or easier. And I hate when people say, oh, they're harder because they must be taking penalties. That's why they must be taking penalties. I disagree. There have been times. There's been times in Amazing Race US where if I always think about it to the hay bales where I forget their names and it's awful of me to not remember the names. They were undoing rolls of hay for hours trying to do it. They're not easier. I think it's just an easy way to say, oh, they must be harder. I don't think they're any harder or easier. I think they're equivalent. Like there's so many different aspects that you don't get to experience as a person on TV.
She's trying to say that it was the first leg. All right, let's just compare this leg to our first leg.
Oh, tasker. Okay, I did her point now. No. She's saying tasker harder in the first leg for the teams. I did it. I did what her point is.
Oh, okay. I was
because you're not. No, she's saying you're not accustomed to the race, so everything feels harder. I'll give you that. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, okay. I thought she was going to try to say it was harder than season 27 because I'm like, the bike race was harder than anything they did in their whole first leg. Like,
the bike leg was about 2 miles of just hell.
Yeah, and the strongest teams like that you would think are Beefcake winning it, like they struggled. I mean,
but I get your point now, Kathy. I understand. My apologies.
No apologies. If you see somebody talking out of line, put them in check.
I thought they were talking out of line, but she really was. Okay, let's get back into it.
All right, Roadblock. Who's ready to stretch? Did we pass that? You ready for the second Roadblock? Yeah.
Oh, no, one more thing. But when we're traveling there, let's just talk about travel. One thing that I absolutely loved is the mother-daughter team, Frankie and Amy. It's Frankie and Amy, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just making sure I still remember names right. When they were doing the little convoy, and I believe Frankie was like, you know what, I'm tired of this crap. We're just going to go. We're going to run our own race. Thank you. I
appreciated that. But she did have follower mentality for a while, which I'm glad that she kicked it, but there was 3 teams that have this follower mentality. When you have the follower mentality, you're not going to make it to the end.
No, it'll screw you.
Yeah, it screwed you guys a lot during your season. In
Paris. In Paris, it messed us up.
Everybody did a lot of extra running in Paris, just following.
And we learned. We never did that again.
I love it. And then the cheerleaders did the same thing. They learned, and they were like, and then they ran a much better race after that. So I appreciate the hustle. All right, so they got this convoy. I have it right here. The convoy, Frankie and Amy finally stepped it up and were the first ones to leave this convoy. They were heading to the roadblockers. Who's ready to search high and low? And it must be the opposite partner of the person who did the other roadblock. So no detour. It's a double roadblock first leg. How do you feel about a double roadblock first leg?
I think it's a tough first leg because roadblocks always expose your weakness. Like, no matter how strong you are as a team, when you break it apart and the other person literally just has to sit there. And I think Emmett at one point in time when Jillian was doing it, he was like, this is a lot harder. It was either Emmett or Lowell. I just don't remember which one was like, this is a lot harder being on this side. And it is. It's awful being the person sitting out the roadblock, but it's even worse being the person doing the roadblock.
No, I totally understand it because my biggest weakness, attention to detail, got exposed as soon as we did the rib challenge. And you could clearly see that I was shaking because I'm not an attention to detail guy. That's Diana's thing. I paint with a much broader brush, and I suffered. And you could definitely see my weaknesses in the roadblock.
But I think it gave us a good idea of how all the teams are because we got to see every individual compete.
Right. And getting that first roadblock out of the way is a big deal for people who don't know. Like, the anxiety of, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do a roadblock and everything's going to be put on me and I hope it's the right roadblock. Like, that builds up. And that's why Diana, like, had to do the tango because I have to do a roadblock. I need to do the roadblock. So that anxiety of getting a roadblock out of the way and you get them, both of you got it out of the way in the first leg, I think that's really cool. Ultimately, I'd like a roadblock detour better than a double roadblock.
That's fair. But there's only so much you can do in an opener. And I like roadblock. I like seeing roadblocks. I don't like doing roadblocks.
Yeah. As a viewer, I definitely like seeing them more than I like doing them. So the convoy broke up. All right. So what you're supposed to do is drive to Pyramid Lake. Oh, that's the pit stop. So the roadblock, I didn't really like this roadblock at all. I think it clearly showed how weak these teams are. This is just such a simple follow the thing. As the numbers go down, the number beeps. If it beeps, you point it. Like, why do you think so many people had trouble with this leg?
I don't know. And here's the thing. I don't think they showed enough of this roadblock. Like, there was one point in time, I think it was Antoine and what's the dad's name?
Stefan?
No. The dad-daughter team. I'm still learning all these names, and this is awful of me.
Joel and Ashley?
Joel, yes. Joel, I think they didn't even show like Joel and Antoine doing the roadblock. Like, they got to the roadblock, you saw them like rappelling, and then they were like at the pit stop. So I don't think we got to see enough of that roadblock to be able to really point it out, except with Kristen. I believe Kristen was the one that like got it and was like, so who was it? It was like when the numbers get lower, I get closer. It was Kristen?
Yeah. It was Stephanie and Kristen. It was that team, yeah.
I believe it was Kristen, yeah.
Stephanie
I don't know. It's tough to see when you only did this much of the roadblock.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was too easy, and so many teams had problems with it, and I'm like, if you can't do these simple tasks, like what? I don't know. I like the beauty of it. I think the landscape everywhere they went was beautiful, and I love that about the Amazing Race. If nothing else, you could fall back on just watching beautiful scenery.
Now, granted, sometimes, as well as I do, that sometimes they leave out like crucial information in the clues. Like when we did the that ship challenge, they didn't tell us like half the crap to look for, and then you just kind of figure it out, and it makes you look dumb in the process.
Justin, you said the task would be easier, and now you're upset about it. I'm upset that the tasks are easy. Yeah, I don't want them to be easy. I don't want them to be. They made these tasks easy for the girl-heavy teams. And they started off with a really strong challenge to challenge them, which I respect. They started that, and then everything else went to all you need to do is have a brain to finish the tasks, which is fine, but it also showed that there's not a lot of teams here that are in the game. And I think there's 2 front-running teams, and everybody else is really fighting for third. I don't see more than 2 teams winning this race.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of race left.
I think so? Okay.
I really think there's a lot of race left.
Listen, I mean, our race, if you judge our race based on the first leg, the bottom, I think Kelsey and Joey, us and the paparazzi were like 7, 8, and 9 or something like that.
No, they were 5th. Paparazzi were 5th.
5th, 8th, and 9th. Yeah,
5th, 8th, and 9th.
So that was the first leg. So maybe we'll see. Maybe we're wrong. But, okay, what were the surprises? Okay, let's finish. Let's get through it. So the drive to Pyramid Lake, the beautiful, beautiful glacier-fed lake. Again, another beautiful scene. Didn't seem like it was too much, but to get there, 1 or 2 teams got lost, but the same 2 teams that always have navigation problems.
The moms were struggling with navigation.
Yeah, they do not look as strong as I thought they would be, for sure. I'm just hoping it's first leg jitters, but I definitely don't have high hopes for them. If they're the 3rd of my top 3 teams, they're definitely on the bottom. I wouldn't mind trading them off. We'll see.
You're stuck with them. You are stuck with them.
So we'll see. Jillian and Emmett get there. They win a 5-night stay in London from Hotels.com. Sounds like a good sponsor for the Amazing Race Hotels.
Oh, totally is. Are you kidding me? And I'm jealous of that trip. That's a cool little trip.
Yeah, London is awesome. Followed by Stephanie and Kristen, who I think are the team to beat this season. I put my money on them winning this. I really do. Yeah, I mean, on the first leg, based on first appearances, we had them high. Based on the first leg, they still stayed high.
If they go out, here's what they're going to go out on, and it's going to be a U-turn. If they get eliminated, it's because the teams see them as so much of a threat that they get U-turned. But if that doesn't happen, they're going to make the finale. Like, teams need to gun for them if they want them not to win.
Yeah. I see Jillian and Emmett, if they can hold it together, and Stephanie and Kristen are definitely 2 that are going to be in the finals in my head. I can't see them not with this. Frankie and Amy might be like a team. Well, we'll see. Okay, Stefan and Kristen in second, and Stefan and Antoine.
We underestimated them. Can we talk about that? Stefan and Antoine?
Kate and Kelly, let's go. Kate and Kelly, and then Brandon and Anthony finished 3rd and 4th, and then had to wait out. And then comes your surprise team, Stefan and Antoine.
Stefan and Antoine, I felt like all 3 of us underestimated them so much. And they turned it out this first leg. Like, they were very good racers this first leg. They were first at the airport. They stayed pretty much in the front of the pack. And Stefan actually made it really far in that first challenge. Like, he really beasted it. I think, unfortunately, his age played a little bit of factor into that, just because it was such a physical challenge that you're not going to be able to compete with, like, ripped farm boy and super athletic, 20.
He's got the heart. He's got the heart, which a lot of teams don't have.
No, so, like, I feel like we missed the mark on that one. Yeah. And their chemistry is so good, too, that I don't see them ever getting in a fight. Like, you can tell that they really care about each other.
But they could fall into the same thing that killed Brandon and Anthony, that little too playful type of thing that, a team that this was like the male dominant team is the first team that left. Like,
but yeah, they didn't go out because they were too playful. They didn't win out because they made a piss poor decision.
Yeah.
Oh, I hit a button. Oh. I don't know what's happening. I hit a button. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But I felt like we really underestimated them, and they turned it out this first leg. So I have to give them credit. I have to really give them credit.
Okay. Joel and Ashley finished behind them, followed by Julie and Lowell. Frankie, who made the best choices on both of those.
Yes, they did.
Roadblocks.
That's
a good roadblock choice.
I think if that switched, it would have been a little bit of a struggle.
I mean, he would have followed the beep, which I think was cool, but the direction I think was off. But he might have been good at it because could have been focused on it. I don't know. But I think they made the right decisions ultimately, and they finished in 5th, which is very surprising. Frankie and Amy, they did well because they broke from the pack, and then they finished ahead of the other people who were in that pack, so they made the smart decision, followed by Rita and Yvette, who got lost everywhere, Ann and Tanya, who also got lost more than anybody else on the whole race.
And here's the thing with Rita and Yvette, they were like sticking with Anna and Tanya. Like, girl, like, read people a little bit better. When this team is real lost, you don't want to stick with a real lost team. Like, I'd rather be lost on my own than lost with a real lost team.
Lost with the team who's been lost everywhere they've gone so far. Yeah. So they're going to have issues. So they all finished, and supposedly there was like an hour left. So, like, the teams, like, I don't think it was that much. I think there was a lot more than an hour left on the 4-hour penalty. And Katie and Kelly got 9th, which means Brandon and Anthony got 10th. And I don't think that was a surprise to many of us, though.
No, I think
one of us called it. I think.
I think I had them marked. I think I did. I don't remember what I said.
Yeah,
honestly.
I might have had Kelly and Kate as first out. I think, but one of us definitely had Brandon and Anthony.
I lucked into that. I didn't know. I didn't realize they would go out the way they did. I think it was a very poor decision in the moment. That's easy to look back in retrospect. I don't know. Maybe if I was there, I just don't see myself quitting. Here's the thing. Yeah. I don't, because like Mom and I struggled so much at that wrap that we never quit. So I just don't see us quitting. And I think it bit them in the rear end. And maybe we'll see a change with this like streak of quitting.
You don't quit your first task,
especially
your first one.
Especially if Kelly and Kate did also have some consequence from this. Yeah. I feel like it'll really change that type of mindset.
Well, okay, so this next leg has got all right, so before we get to the next leg, sorry. So overall thoughts on this episode as a whole, now that we've went through it. Here's what I want to happen. I wish I could have seen how it played out without the weather. Without the weather problems. Mm-hmm. I think that is what kind of was the bummer. It was kind of like the rainy day on this ledge. Mm-hmm. See what I did there? You're not laughing. I want you to laugh at me. Punny, I'm so punny.
I want to see what that would have done. Other than that, I think it was a very strong lead. I think it had multiple ways for teams to be challenged. With self-driving, with physical, with brains. You've listed all the ways.
I got you. Challenge. I thought you meant passing. I thought you were going to say pass each other.
No, with being challenged.
Yeah, no, I like that.
So I think with the first lead, you don't really want to like blow the racers out of the water and be like, here's all the hard stuff we can throw at you. But I think it was an appropriate level.
Yeah, I love the scenery, beautiful scenery. Definitely had that, which I appreciate in the first leg. Multiple ways of traveling. We had planes, buses, trains, a car, so boats. I like that they had that in the first episode. I wish that the tasks in the first episode, at least, every task would have a chance for other teams to pass and excel due to skill rather than luck. So those are things that I look for. But as a first leg, I think it was fun. It had some great drama with Steph. If she didn't do that, then it would only be one team would have actually completed that first task. So I like the drama that it's like, I'm a girl, but I am here to play. I got heart, muscle, strength, knowledge. I like the fact that she did that.
Yeah. And I am glad 2 teams quit, though, because if only one team had quit, then it would have
been drama, yeah. There would have been no drama for the end because you would have.
I want to say one thing Kathy also just wrote in an interview. Anthony said that the height fear was extreme. Also expected second try to be worse. I don't care. Like, you go into the race. Yeah, I don't because you go into the race with your fears. The race will push you out of your comfort zone. It will, in all ways, shapes, and forms. It is your job as a racer to meet those challenges.
Absolutely. I mean, Diana had a fear of heights, and she did at least 3 challenges that tested her height severely.
I mean, mom did too, and she did that bungee jump. Like, she was the first one to go, and she just did it. You just And we talked about our season a lot because it's the season we're most familiar with.
Absolutely.
But there's like countless examples where if you don't meet your challenges, you'll get eliminated.
So who's getting your seal clap?
My seal clap goes to Steph. I lived for that moment. I because when she fell, I was like, and I gasped, and I thought it was over. And then we came back, and she was just like pulling herself up. And when she got it, it made me so happy.
I actually giving it to Stephanie and Kristen. Stephanie, for one, for using her brain to help by using the first one to use her legs to help her get across. 2, for having the heart to grab on with her legs and not let go because of fear. Like, love that. But I give it to Kristen, too, because she was the one that asked, the only one that we saw ask when she got that task, if, okay, does this equal meters? And was this making when we get closer? And she knew exactly what it was, made sure it was right, and then did the task. So I see this team as a really, really strong team this season, and they both get my Superfan award.
I would be very scared of that team if I was racing against them.
Especially if they got to see what we saw as viewers, if they got to see that,
everyone saw that the first Roadblock. Everyone was there. I think.
I didn't know if the teams on the bottom could see.
They looked like they could.
That she beasted it. So I'd like to see what the teams start talking about in the next leg. In the next leg is going to Calgary, which I love. It's where my fake leg, my first fake leg was on our Perfect Race. If you haven't seen those, you can check them out. They're in a playlist above called We're Creating Our Own Race. We've gotten 3 legs down. You should check that out. But they're going to have – this one has buses. It has fish. It has music, people lying, and 2 express passes. What do you think about 2 express passes?
I like 2 express passes. We benefited off a second express pass.
Well, you had the hand-me-down express pass where they had to give it. I think this one's going to actually have 2 express passes.
Separate ones.
What do you think about that strategy where there's 2 up for grabs?
I'm curious to know if one person gets 2 and they pass it off, or if 2 individual teams can win one.
Yeah.
What they have to do, because here's the thing: the express pass, if used correctly, can win a leg for you, and it can save you from elimination. It can.
Right. It's not going to win you the race, but it can win you the leg or save you from being eliminated.
Right. You have to be able to use it correctly, but it actually can play a factor.
Right. Unless there's a sort of random stop in Africa where people go to sleep. So random, which is
Cheers.
All right, so that's going to do it for that episode. I think it was a solid episode for a good start, and for a lot of people who are following Racers Recap, it was the first time for them watching an actual Canadian season. All right, a couple words of wisdom that we've heard. The OLA, we heard, is not the safest of VPNs. Supposedly, it's Ben Powell. I'll do some more research into it. I think what they do is they use some of your bandwidth that you're not using for other people to download stuff. So they kind of suck your bandwidth. So if you guys have bandwidth restrictions, I think that's going to be bad for you. Ultimately, what I did is just downloaded it the day after and just watched it. There's a couple live links for West Coast feeds that were in the chat room, but unless you're going to live tweet with the show, for me, it was easier to just download it the next morning and watch it. Did you have any issues watching it?
I didn't have any issues.
You watched what, the West Coast feed? Which feed?
Yeah, I used the West Coast. So it was a couple hours behind everyone else, but I watched it. Cool.
So there's a couple ways to watch it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hashtag Racers Recap, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Hey, you guys on Snapchat? I do a show called The Catch Up Show.
I do a show called The Mustard Show.
You can follow at Classic One Media on Snapchat. I'd love to have you guys input. All right. Thank you, each and every one of you. James, is there anything you'd like to say? Anything that I missed about this episode or the next?
Nothing about this. I just can't wait to beat you when we go back and race again. That's what I want to say.
I know better than to trust you. Well, I really appreciate you doing these recaps with me. I really enjoy your company, and I love that you can challenge me and you have the chutzpah, as they say.
Chutzpah. I don't know what that means.
I think it's almost like, oh, they have the balls to challenge me.
Okay.
So I appreciate that. And every one of you watching, we really do appreciate each and every one of you. It's obviously the smallest audience we've had for a recap show because not everybody's watching the Canadian version, but we appreciate each and every one of you watching this. If you could like, share, and subscribe, that would be even better. So that's going to do it. Get ready for Josiah's eviction. We ready for that one?
Oh, yeah. He's totally gone. Are you kidding me? Like, there's no way.
I've had some interest from a former Big Brother who wants to do Big Brother recaps on Classic One Media. What do you think?
Y'all should do that. I don't know if I can participate in that because that's a lot of recaps.
That is a lot of recaps, but I think we're going to do one a week. So we'll see. We'll talk about it. If you guys are interested in it, let me know. Hit me in the comments if you want to see some Big Brother recaps with the former Big Brother. All right. Till next time, Sunday. We'll see you Sunday at 7 for leg number 4 as we create our perfect, amazing race. Hasta la vista. That's going to do it. Bye.
Bye.